Hey everybody, hope you're well. Max here, and today we are with Anton Blake, an instructor and animator for the Lion King. Anton, glad to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Glad to be here.
thanks. So really appreciate the fact that you are here to answer the community's question. Can you introduce yourself quickly?
Yep. So my name's Anton. I'm from an animator from London. I've been an animator for about 10 years, just over 10 years. Um, and my most recent project was, well, big project was on The Lion King, where I was an animator for 2 years. I was a year on previs and then a year in animation. So yeah, I started out at DNEG. I was there for 18 months and then I did the remote circuit where I was like working remote and in smaller studios. And then I ended up working in a studio in Luton, which is north of England. Well, not north. It's slightly above London, and it's and I was supervising there for about 18 months on a small games project or games project in Dubai. Um, and then I went to Milk VFX, where I was started to really learn creature stuff. And then I went to MPC, where I worked on Lion King. Came back to Milk for the last 8 9 months, and I've literally just finished my contract. So I'm about to start another short-term contract, so it should be fun.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. We wish you the best in your upcoming works. And yeah, really
Thank you.
nice job on the Lion King. I really enjoyed the new film.
Cool. It's yeah. I really enjoyed it. It was a special project for me. So um, it's had mixed reviews, but mostly good, I think.
Yeah, what was like your thought about working on a project like that, who was basically a remake of a big monument of animation?
Uh, it's I was very defensive of it. um, I really believed in it, and as soon as I heard it was big, it was being made, I had to work on it. Um, I don't know why, but I got a fascination with cats and big cats and African animals. I just love it. So I really wanted to work on it so badly. And the fact that it was Lion King, it was just, very special. The music and um, so yeah. So I was in previous for a year, and that was a nice, really nice ride.
Mhm.
And then when we went on to animation, you don't realize the standard difference from because previs when I was working in previs, or they call visualization, viz for short. The standard was quite high for that. It's not just like sliding creatures around on camera. It started out quite rough, and then it got, oh, let's put some more poses. Let's do this, and that was in steps a lot. And then it was like from because they were working with virtual cameras and transferring it to Unity, they were like they're moving the cameras and the characters are popping along in steps. So they're like, okay, so let's spline it. And then they spline it, and of course it doesn't look that great. And they're like, oh, let's work it up. So you're working up all this animation just for previs. So I thought that was quite high. And then when I made the jump to the animation team, I was shocked. Like the standard was like, whoa, it really hit me. And yeah, it was a steep learning curve. Um, but I feel like I came out at the end of it, and I improved. So yeah, and
Yeah,
it was awesome. I loved it. I wouldn't change it.
I was actually amazed by watching the Breaking Ground with virtual production video that shows actually the pre-production step, the previs, and then
Yeah.
when you see the final quality, it's really mind-blowing.
Yeah, they're you know, that hats off to MPC and everyone who worked on it in all departments. You know, it blows my mind at every, you know, when I see renders come through, especially your own work, your own shots. You know, you're checking every day, refresh, and seeing like the renders and effects and stuff. Blows my mind. So you know, hats off to everyone who worked on it, and you know, they did a mind blowing job, I thought.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So we've got a lot of questions coming from the community. So I will ask the community that we got on Instagram. Thanks to all the person who actually played the game. We had so much questions, so I had to choose some of them. But yeah, really, really awesome. So let's start by the first one coming from Able Animation. He has two questions. The first one is, do you think IA will replace character animators in a near future?
Do I think what will?
Uh,
Sorry.
AI, sorry, that's my French.
Oh, okay. I hope not. um, you know, there's a lot of technology that's taken over the world, but you know, I don't think that you can replace, you know, imagination and the human brain. Um, yeah, I don't know. I really hope not.
Yeah, that's my point of view too. I think it will help a lot on technical part of things, but you can't really replace creativity. And also about the workflows, we see a lot of improvements about UV, about texturing, about unwrapping, retopology. But I think animation is really something else that needs a big human part of it.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, it's so broad as well. Like, there's so many things. Like when I see, I recently see a stop motion animation that I think is it that Studio Leica. I don't know how you pronounce it. Laika. Um, I, they done this amazing animation, stop motion stuff. You know, you can't just fake that. You know, you can't get AI to do that. It's just what people coming up with that sort of stuff is. It just blows my mind. 2D animation and stop motion is just insane.
Yeah, another question from Hable Animation. Um, do you think creator animation requires manual frame by frame for animation?
Yeah, creatures animation. I think to a point. All in what sense do you mean? Sorry.
Um, I think do you think creator animation requires manual frame animation?
Um, in terms of like frame by frame in it, or
Yeah, I think so.
yeah, I mean, you know, to a point, all animation does, right? So you have to really kind of eyeball, eyeball the animation and really sort of pay attention to it. I think I understood that. Um, yeah, I think so.
Okay. Um, Another question from Chili Bros. Um, he or they ask how they connect virtual camera with a real camera.
Um, yeah, good question. That's not something I really know about. Cameras I'm really fascinated in, and I'm learning, but it's not my strong point with cameras. So unfortunately, I'm not sure I can answer that one.
Okay, so when you animated, for example, in The Lion King, you didn't add any camera angle ready, or did you already add a camera
Well,
movement?
they use the VR headsets, right?
Ouais.
So we would animate our cameras in Maya, and we would roughly animate, and then we would send that to them, and they would look at the footage and then they would kind of frame it using their VR headset, so they get natural movement, and then using that, that's what they would shoot what we would send our block in, and then they would send that back to us, and it would go backwards and forwards. So sending it, I'm guessing by a FBX, and they would do it that way, and then they send the final camera footage back to us to animate and create shots, full CG shots.
Okay. So we
That's
have
all I know.
yeah, pretty impressive process. We have a question from Will Durand asking how to stay motivated and confident when you are working on a long animation.
Well, like the one I'm doing now. I'm doing a really long cub shot at the moment, sequence of 11 shots, and it started out as one shot, and then it grew to 10 or 11 shots, which I'm going to be, breaking down and teaching on my course. So it depends what you're animating. Like for me, I love animating quads. I've really grown to enjoy animating quads, and cats in particularly. Like people will say to me, like, you've animated on the Lion King. Why on earth are you animating another cub? Just leave it. But I've got this cub for my school, and because I was setting up the school for another guy, and he's doing his own course, and in while I was waiting for that, I got this cub, and I started doing a test, and I was like, man, this is so cool. So I really wanted to push myself, and then that kind of just escalated and grew and grew and grew, and then I did another shot and another shot, and but all the while I'm doing it because I genuinely love what I do. And it's, if you're not enjoying it and you're not inspired, then people get bored and they put it down. So I can see why people just do 10-second shots, but for me, I just wanted to really challenge myself and push myself. So I don't know.
Okay, thanks
I'm
for
quite I'm
answering.
quite driven, so
Okay.
I like to challenge.
We have another question from Dominic asking, in your perspective, what is a perfect animation?
um Clean, with clarity, uh all the 12 principles. um is there um it depends. It's very subjective, isn't it? It depends on the person's preference, the style, but for me, I think if I was to sum it up in one word, probably clean. Nice arcs, space in, style. you know
Okay, there is a good video on YouTube actually called the 12 Principle of Animation, if it could help some people. I think it's pretty well explained. A video by Alan Baker.
yeah, I think I've seen that. It's awesome.
Yeah, really well explained for all the people that wants to get a refresh or discover animation. Um, Another question from VD Druvias asking, is the movie, I think it's a reference to The Lion King, was made in Unity?
Maya, Unity, Houdini. They've got their own proprietary, tools and plugins and softwares and stuff. But yeah, that we animated it in Maya
Okay.
predominantly, and then we export the cameras. They do their stuff with VR on set. That gets exported to Unity and then back. You know, so yeah, Maya, Unity, and whatever else, Houdini. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
I think I don't know what they use for effects. I think they maybe have their own effects software. I don't know.
Okay, Sagara is asking, do you have some course, so best courses to learn animation?
Um, I don't know really. I studied at Animation Mentor, um, so I can't speak for the others. I know that I think they're all really good. I think they're all really good. You know, I can't really, I couldn't really answer that one really. It
Okay.
depends on budget as well. So it depends on your budget. But Creature Animation Workshop is very very good. But I think they just specialize in creature. I don't know if they
Mhm.
got basics. Animation Mentor, I Animate, Anim Score. They're all very good. They're all
Okay.
very good.
I think you are also working on your own course. Maybe you can let us know more about that and maybe about the upcoming um, projects that you will have about education.
Yep. So I got uh, my own venture starting. It's called Monster Emporium, and it's a school that I'm setting up uh, mainly for another guy. He's making a course. I'll talk about that, further down the line. So I don't know what stage he's at, so I don't really want to give too much away. While I was waiting for him, I was setting up my own workshop based on my cubs. So, I had a few people asking me if I would show them various workflows and stuff. So I thought, well, if I've got the platform as a school to set it up, why not use it, right?
Mhm.
So that's where I just kind of jumped in it, and I'm setting up one at the moment. So we've got a test group starting in June, 28th of June, and we've got 14 out of 15 places filled, and so we've got one spot left, and it does require a demo reel. So as an animator, you need to have a basic understanding of creature animation. So I don't know how this is going to go down, but I'm going to give it a try.
Okay. So I will let the links down in the description and also on Instagram, so people who wants to check will be able to check. And
Awesome.
that's cool because if I'm understanding correctly, you've learned online, and we have a question from Chicken Lord asking, can I be a successful animator if I don't go to school?
Um, yeah, I think you can. I think it's quicker if you go to a school. Obviously, you get much more of a direct teaching approach and guidance. But you can learn. You can self teach yourself. It just takes a lot longer because you have to find your own guidance, and you have to find your own path, tutorials and stuff. But yeah, you can learn without a school, but it just takes a lot longer, I guess.
Okay, thanks for answering. We have a question from Rita Blanche asking, she's often heard about male animator. Is it realistic to be taken seriously as a female?
Absolutely, yeah. I think so. You know, uh, it's 2020. There's a lot more females now, and getting into the industry, and it's great. I love seeing it. I recently just worked at Milk VFX, and there's quite a lot of females working there. Um, and I think it's on the rise. So it's great. I think it's really great. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thanks. Um, so another question, yeah, I think you already answered that one, but Anim Karim is asking, are there any other ways of getting into the animation industry without university?
Uh, yeah, I didn't go to university. I mean, I went to I did animation mentor, but I didn't go to a university. So I started my career when I was 27. I'm 38 now, and so I was studying. uh, I was working nights in a warehouse, and then I was coming home in the morning at 7 in the morning. I had a young kid who's now 17, and I was coming home early in the morning, and I was half asleep, and I was animating bouncy balls. And then when I woke up, I'd go to sleep, I'd wake up, I'd look at it, and the bouncy balls were not doing what they should because I was like this when I was trying to animate. So but I didn't go to university. I didn't get any degrees. I was, I self-taught myself for a while, and then I found someone's reel on YouTube that was insanely good. And I was like, man, this is so good. So I messaged him. I was like, how did you get this good? And he was like, I did Animation Mentor. And then I Googled them, I looked it up, and then I took a class, and then I did 4 terms. And then on my 4th term, my grades were okay. And then I got made redundant from the warehouse job. And then my grades started going up because I was just animating all the time. And then my wife was like, this is great, but we've got no money. We've got to pay bills. So my friend got me a job doing working on fitting gas pipes up buildings, and I'm scared of heights. So it wasn't a very good job for me. I was like on top of buildings like that, like really scared. And then I remember having a really bad day one day, and this guy I was working with, he was just it wasn't a great day, and I got a phone call from DNEG. My wife phoned me and she said, you got a voicemail from someone from Double Negative, because I went round at the time and I handed my demo reels out. I handed discs, CDs around, and I got a phone call from them. And I got in the van and I phoned them up, and they said, yeah, do you want to come for an interview? And I was so happy, man. Like, this guy got in the van and he was like, what are you so happy about? I went, oh, I just got an interview with Double Negative, like a film studio. And he was like, oh, so what, you're going to leave this? I was like, yes. So, I had the interview. I got the job the same day, and it was literally, rags to riches. Like, I came home, got the phone call, and I just cried. Me and my wife was jumping around on the sofas because I never thought that I would make it. When you're a student, you don't think you're ever going to get there. You can't see it. And then when you break through, it's just like, it's just a relief, even though you don't know what's about to come. You don't realize it's going to be like this. But that breakthrough, it was just like, yeah, it was amazing.
Whoa, pretty incredible story.
Yeah. Thanks.
We have a question from Marbat Tada asking, according to you, what's the hardest part about making 3D animation?
Making what animation, sorry?
What is the hardest part?
Of animation in general or creature?
3D animation. So I
Oh,
don't.
3D. Sorry. I think time investment. I think that's the hardest part for me, is being able to or being able to let go. It's very difficult going into from blocking to spline to polish, but actually letting it go and calling it done. I think it's very difficult when you're polishing your work, and there's a point where some people let it go too early, is what I'm trying to say. So there's a point where you let it go, but you need to be pushing yourself. It's that final 10%, I think, is the answer that I'm looking for. That's what I wanted to say. So the final 10%, I think, is the hardest.
Okay. We have so much other question, and I'm sorry I can't really ask them all. But thanks for all the people who actually asked on Instagram. We have a question from Mike Simon. If you have some personal tips about your portfolio and what good character and creator you must have in a portfolio.
Something that's kind of different to what you see. So, I think demo reels are always evolving and changing. Back in the day of Animation Mentor, everyone was like, oh my God, I need that rig. I need that rig. I need that rig. And then all of a sudden, everyone had that rig on their demo reels. And then people started moving into creature animation, and everyone wanted that rig and that sort of style of animation. But every now and then you see this one just pop up with a completely different style. and that's what stands out. So just trying to find something that kind of matches your skill set but pushes you a little bit, but makes you stand out. So it's not about the rig, it's about the animation, but finding something that make yourself stand out. It's very difficult. It's very difficult, I think.
Okay, thanks for these tips. And we have a question from Days of Shapes, so Nick, that we already got in interview. So Nick is asking, what's your top trick for animating quadrupeds?
Hide the legs is my top tip. Just just relax, and don't think about it too much. Don't overthink. That's my top tip. Don't overthink things.
Okay, thanks. Um, so yeah, we've got a fun question coming from Art Dib. Um, how do you animated the character move like a real lion in Lion King?
um I was helped by lots and lots and lots of people guiding me and telling me it wasn't good enough, and giving me lots of feedback. So, you know, um, but no, seriously, I learned so much from people around me, and it helps when you're in that environment. It's very daunting at first, but when you're working in that environment and you're just seeing people's stuff on the big screen, you're like, wow, you just naturally pick stuff up. So feedback is absolutely key, I think.
Okay. So a question from David Martimar, asking, do you think it's possible to have a full-time job with enough stability to have a family?
Uh, yes, yes and no. Yes, because I'm doing it. I've got a wife and two kids, so I think it's difficult at the start. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat. But I think, once you get good enough, you're in work more than you're out, if that makes sense. At the start of your career, it's really difficult to find your break.
Mhm.
But, this is why from day one, I'm constantly working on my own stuff. 10 years into my career, I'm still working on my own projects because I'm trying to keep my head above water, and I'm trying to push myself as much as possible. And then when I have a project, like I worked on Lion King, and it's a big project, and you're small fish in a very big pond, and you get your butt kicked. It makes you come out and you want to improve. You want to push yourself so much. And I worked on that cub shot to test my ability and test what I learned and see what I could do on my own. um, so it's hard at the beginning, but yeah, for sure. I got a wife and two kids and 10 years, and I'm still in the industry. So
So yeah, another question is, um, what software will be suggested for very beginners?
um, I, I use I use Maya, but people are using Blender nowadays. Um, so I've never used Blender, but if you can get a student version of Maya and learn that, I think I would advise using Maya.
Okay, thanks. Question from Rudra Nimesh, asking, in case of a dialogue animation, what are the steps we need to follow?
So I haven't done that in a while. I think I'm going to make that one of my next projects, is to do some more acting stuff. My tip for that would be, get yourself on camera first and act out, and really have fun with it. And then for the dialogue itself, I usually start with the jaw. Just get the main beats going on the jaw. Don't go like this. Don't have really chattery animation. just the main beats of what your jaw does. So put your hand under your jaw and just talk like that and see how many times your jaw actually goes up. And then I would work on the corners, the ins and outs, and then I'd work on the lips and just break it down like that. But once you get into the fine polishing of it, that's where you see the difference between good and great animators. The great ones, and I'm not one of them, is the difference is they put time and effort into easing in and really giving that polish. So yeah, I definitely want to go back and do some acting stuff at some point. But at the moment, I'm fully invested in my creature stuff. So once I can breathe a bit, I'll do some acting. But that would be my tips, I think.
Okay, thanks. Um, what Mulani asking, what is the best technique to improve?
Improve.
Yeah, improve.
Um, just practice. Just practicing all the time. Getting feedback. Don't spend too long on shots like I am. Um, yeah, studying reference, practicing in Maya, and getting feedback as much as possible. So for me, I always say the three things that make you really improve: um, uh, studying, and practice, and feedback.
Okay. Thanks. What is the most common correction in realistic creature animation from a client or a director?
I think eyeline. You get eyeline notes quite a lot. Depending on the shot, you get body mechanic notes and camera notes and stuff. But I think if I was to pick something, you get eyeline notes a hell of a lot, I think.
Okay, we've got several questions from Taras, but you already answered some about university and learning 3D animation. So, what code of 2D animation are important for 3D animation?
All of them, I think, but I think mainly timing and spacing. For me is most important. Is that a question? I think I heard that right. From
Yeah,
2D to 3D.
yeah.
Yeah. So definitely timing and spacing, arcs. But then you can push it from there. So you can talk about the other 12 principles, but definitely timing and spacing, I think.
Okay, thanks. Another question from Torres, asking what was the hardest part to animate in The Lion King?
Um, Probably my first shot, which is my first shot on my demo reel. Um, that was like 700 frames, and it's just two lions walking. So you've got Simba and Scar walking towards the camera, and on the face of it, it's an easy shot, right? But I had so many technical issues with it, where it's walking through the canyon kept changing, and it was on a path. So you'd change the path animation, you'd bake it down, then the canyon would change again. There was a lot of things like that, and then I got to a point where I finally got it approved. Like, they're stacked, so they're walking towards the camera, right? And then I finally got it client approved, and then my supervisor called me over and he said, "Hey, can you just show me a perspective view so we can see that mechanics are working?" And I was like, "Oh boy, I'm busted." So I did that, and then he was like, "Okay, right, let's really fix this." And then it just went on and on and on and on, and it just would never finish. And I was looking around, seeing all these people get some really cool shots that were like, 100 frames, 80 frames, 150 frames, 200 frames, and there I was on that same shot, and I was like, I need to finish this. But it definitely helped me because I learned so much from it. So yeah.
Whoa. Yeah, so that was really easier to get in the workflow after.
Yeah, because my next shot after was Scar trapping Zazu. And to play blast it was nothing. It took a few minutes. But to play blast that one, especially when I had production tapping me on the shoulder saying, "Hey, we got dailies, are you ready?" And I'm like, no, it's play blasting, and it took like 45 minutes, and then it would crash, and then I'd be sweating and nearly in tears, and I'd be like, "Oh my god, so stressful." So I had so many technical issues. It drove me crazy. And then when I got off that shot and I got my next one, even though the mechanics was a lot more, he was slapping Zazu and Zazu was flapping and flying, you know, that one seemed to have got approved quicker than the previous one because it was shorter and more manageable.
Okay. Um, so another question from Pixel Lord asking how to enter as a rigger in industry student. So as a rookie.
Um, I'm not too sure because I'm not being an animator. It's a different department, but I do rig a hell of a lot, but not enough to actually apply for a job. So I guess the same as any artist, I guess, just look at what's out there and see what's really good, learn how to be that good and push yourself and just keep creating rigs and seeing what you can do with your rigs and see if you can, push boundaries and eventually it'll happen. Just keep banging away and it will happen.
Okay, thanks. Um, Another one, which is fun because seen a dog motion capture suite video a few days ago, and this question is: do you think that motion capture will end CG animation?
Um, I hope not, man. Do you know what? I saw motion capture dog as well recently, and it fascinates me because I want to learn. I want to really study animal motion with motion capture, but it's kind of like contradictory. I'm studying something that could replace me. Um, who knows? I'm just riding it while everything's hot. So
Yeah,
you know.
maybe for some animals, but I'm not sure we will be able to
Yeah, you
create.
can't really do it for dragons. So
Yeah, good news for animators.
yeah.
Um, do you have some advices for complete beginners as an animator from the third world country? Asking Richie Bakoto.
Yeah, good question. I do understand it's really tough. I do get that. But there are a lot of resources out there now that there wasn't, 10, 15 years ago. So, it's probably the best time to want to get into the industry because, you've got YouTube, even Animation Mentor, they've got their own blogs, they've got their own, webinars and free resources where people talk about animation. There's a lot of free stuff out there. Uh, Getting mentors and guidance and a proper course for me is going to get you there a lot quicker, like I said. But I do understand it's very difficult for people in what third world countries. So there's a lot of resources out there.
Okay, thanks for answering. Um, I have some question that we already answered. So yeah, do you have some suggestion to start an animation career?
um don't do it. No, I'm kidding. Just find inspiration. First of all, choose whether you want to do character or creature. I started out in the character route, and I loved character animation. I was fascinated by it, but being in London, visual is visual effects based in London, and there's some character jobs that are coming up like feature animation, but it's not a lot. Not like in the US where there's lots of feature studios. So I kind of naturally turned to creature, and so that I could try and stay in work, and that's kind of working for me, and I really enjoy it. Eventually I want to go back and do some character work, but at the moment I'm on this path, and I really enjoy it. So yeah, if you're starting out, just find something you enjoy. It's the best time when you're learning.
Okay.
I mean, you never stop learning, right? But when you very first start out, I mean.
Okay, thanks a lot. We've got so much question, but some are referring to others. So I hope everyone had a clear answer. And yeah, so thanks for all the community. I have some question coming from myself. So what's the future plan, and where do you see yourself maybe in 5 or 10 years?
Um, I don't know. I'd like to try leading at some point. I'm not sure I don't want to shoot myself down. I'm not sure I'd want to supervise, because I've seen people they go grey very quick, and they're very stressed, and they don't have it's very hard to have in some places to have a work family life balance.
Mhm.
It's all very stay late and meetings and whatnot. So not everywhere, but some places. Whereas I'd kind of like to lead at some point. So but at the moment, I'm taking each job as it comes, and I'm just enjoying it. I'm just happy to be in a job at the moment, especially in the current climate. So yeah.
Okay, that's really cool. And beside animation, what are you doing for passion? Do you like music, drawing? What do you do?
I like football. So I'm a Chelsea fan here in London. So I did manage a kids football team for my son. So I managed my older boy's team when he was 14, 13, 14, 15. Did that for 4 years, and then I switched, and then I was a manager of my youngest boy's football team. I did that for 4 years, and I've recently just quit, and I need to focus on my animation and my school, and just being a dad. So yeah, that's I like football, I like drawing, I like music. Um, yeah, Paul, I like Paul as well.
Cool.
Like Snoop.
That's really nice. Um, and so you are from London. Do you plan to stay in the UK, or do you want to move
Um,
somewhere else?
yeah, I think one day. But at the moment, I'm happy at the moment. It's difficult to travel, if you've got a young family. It can be done. I know people that do it all the time, but it's difficult when you've got a young family and kids are rooted in schools. So, if you're going to travel, do it while you're single and young. I got into the industry when I was 27. So, it's very difficult to then go around the world. But like I said, people do it. It's just my personal preference.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for answering all the questions. And do you have a final word for the interview?
No, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it. I think my final word or piece of advice would be, never stop. Just be relentless.
Okay, thank you really much, and see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Bye bye.
Bye.